welcome back to my channel. I'm Sierra, the HBIC, and your go-to for all things child-free lifestyle, fashion finds, mental health, New York City life, and of course, some cameos from my dog Stark. Basically, if you like living your best life, keeping it real, feeling fabulous, and maybe having some fun with real talk, this is the channel for you. Since it is ADHD Awareness Month, and I, Sierra, have ADHD, figured this is something we should probably talk about. Obviously, I'm a creator, and I make content across platforms, but since that one guy took over the Bird app, I started flying south for the winter. While I clearly do video content, my first artistic medium actually came through writing. It's what came naturally to me. I used to just write what I was thinking, feeling, documenting my hopes and dreams and goals. I loved to write stories as a little kid, which progressed to my angsty teen years and into what was probably very terrible poetry. Whatever, I needed an outlet. As an introverted, latchkey kid who never felt like I belonged anywhere, writing was what I did. I'd write while I was listening to music. It was probably stuff that aligned with my mood at the time too. As a millennial, I was a solid LJ girl through and through. I probably dabbled in Zanga, and I had emotion-filled AIM messages. Basically, I was a digital yapper before it was codified as a thing. Thanks to years of therapy, psychiatry, reading, and being curious about myself, I've come to realize that part of why I'm a yapper is thanks to my ADHD. I'm one of many adults who was diagnosed with ADHD later in life. I received my diagnosis in 2021, a few months after moving to New York City. I was 34 years old and learning that I have a cognitive disability. I was a mixed bag of emotions after learning this. I was simultaneously shocked, sad, angry, and relieved, to say the least. I was shocked to learn that I was part of about 5% of Americans with ADHD, the cognitive disability. I'm living with a disability in an incredibly ableist world. And shocked that I had gone for 34 flipping years without a diagnosis. How sad, right? I was sad. I was sad that I'd gone for so long without the modern medical world helping me. I was sad for the young woman and the girl who experienced so many things that maybe wouldn't have been as hard had I had treatment or the help that I probably needed. Sad that she lived for years internalizing feelings of shame, disappointment, and frustration because she just couldn't get things, or it felt so hard and I was trying and doing everything I could and it just didn't work. Sad for all of the times where I couldn't get past something while other people could and I didn't understand why. Felt like something was always wrong with me. Just always felt like something was wrong with me. Which also bred some serious anger, because what in the actual when I talked to my mom about it, she was like, oh yeah, you definitely have that. I do too, and so does your aunt. Me. I beg your pardon? Mom? Why didn't you do anything about this when I was a kid? I can't remember what my mom said, and I love her to pieces. I do not want to put words in her mouth, so I'm not going to try and replicate what her response was. What I do remember is how I felt after the conversation, and that was much less angry because we had a really good laugh about it. Especially her saying she probably has it too, and making some sense of behaviors in both of us, and it's a nice bonding moment. Because the truth is, there was some levity to be found in the situation, because without having treatment and tools that were available over the course of my life, it was mostly okay. And receiving a diagnosis provided a sense of relief. As a Black woman who has spent most of her life in a fat body and in primarily white spaces, with many friends who were white passing or held much closer proximity to whiteness than I think some of them even want to grapple with or believe, I was visibly othered. It lurked in my brain at all times because it's just something that couldn't be ignored. I felt it constantly. As I said, I am much more introverted than people ever want to believe. I was internalizing all of that all the time. It's just why I loved writing so much. That was hard. Now let's add having a cognitive disability on top of that, and a cognitive disability that has rejection-sensitive dysphoria as part of it. Perfect. It's a perfect recipe for me keeping mental health professionals employed. All this to say, I felt a sense of relief on why some things were harder for me, such as math, science, test taking in schools, why I felt it so much more when I was othered or in school. I was a studious kid, going through feelings of rejection. I made pretty good grades. I tried. I was in advanced math classes and I struggled. I'm someone who knew they wanted to get out of their hometown as soon as possible. The route I wanted to take was going to university. I wanted those good grades, and so I took summer school to try and improve my math grades. Loved my parents, had some okay friends, but I just was not a fan. And my parents did everything that they could to supplement my educational gaps or provide help when they could, and if they couldn't, they tried to find tools and resources for me. They did the best they could. They really did. I'm so appreciative of that. I did go to college, and I had my first experience with stimulants. When they didn't affect me the way that they did everyone else, that should have been a sign that maybe I actually need this. You know, I was 19. What do I know? This was also the time when my father, less than gently, informed me that I inherited his lack of patience, so maybe I shouldn't try being a teacher. He's not wrong. Like, I had already been kind of questioning it because teachers are definitely not paid enough for everything that they do. Yes, we need to pay teachers, everyone. They deserve so much more money. Fund the education system. But in all seriousness, I didn't have the patience, and guess what? Part of that is because there's so much happening in my head at all times that it comes out through a lack of patience at times. Hello, ADHD. But the real flashing point should have been when I joined the white-collar workforce. Whoa, buddy. I struggled with things like attention to detail, following verbal conversations, especially in meetings, or when I was in a hybrid environment and I had people on screen, people in the room, like things happening on Slack. That was like a lot to process. Being IRL and in an open office environment, or just the office environment in general, is not particularly set up well for someone with a disability such as mine. For me, that movement and constant chatter and the noise is a massive distraction. I'm also an HSP, so I am incredibly sensitive to other people's emotions and movement in general, and I can feel when people are coming or something is happening beforehand. You know what the real, like, giant flapping flag should have been? My lack of a poker face and my body language showcasing that I need to say what's really happening when people are talking in circles or using less than straightforward language. Can we get to the point? Let's go. Just say the thing so then we can all address it or talk about it or move through it. Net, I don't mask my emotions well. I have massive executive dysfunction, and I am highly attuned to the feelings of a group, which can lead me to self-martyr. Not always a good thing. Most of the time, not a good thing. Over the years, I have received feedback about some various things. My work product was good, but it would be things here and there that would come up. I tried, and I tried so many recommended methods of approaching projects and using tools and handling group dynamics. I went to all kinds of trainings and classes, and I paid for myself to do lots of things. I read so many books, and I did the best I could at the time. I was just felt like I was falling short. Receiving the diagnosis helped me understand that I'm just different. What works for most people in the neurotypical probably won't work for me, or it will only work for a short period of time, and that's okay. It felt relief in knowing that I didn't actually fall short, that I was doing a bang-up job. What was being asked of me or expected of me was not only more challenging for me, but it also just might not be something I can do. My DNA is just hardwired to behave in certain ways. Even with medication, sometimes those differences come barreling through. Coming to terms with that has been a real practice in patience. And a lot of learning, a lot of trial and error, more communication than I am normally adept at. So again, lots of practice. It also came with a little bit of grief. I had to grieve part of my life that I lived before. That's where the sadness was a little bit of grief. Part of being an adult is being curious about the world and being curious about yourself. In that, we learn, we grow, and we adapt. And hopefully we are able to share our learnings and to bring about a sense of community and helping other people. One of the biggest adaptations I've made over the last few years is being kinder to myself. I know that sounds like all woo-woo, but it's true. It's been a big part of my therapy sessions and working with my psychiatrist and my primary care doctor. I have to work on being kinder to myself and how I speak to myself and how I think about myself. So I want to end this video reminding you to be kind to yourself. You're doing the best you can with the tools you have, the understanding that you have, and the resources available to you. I believe in you, and I am sure you're doing the best you can. For my fellow friends with ADHD, hi, I see you, I am you. And I'm so glad to be part of the NeuroSpicy community. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video or you found something in here useful, please share it with a friend. It's ADHD Awareness Month, and fun fact, most women aren't diagnosed with ADHD until around age 35, while most boys are diagnosed in their youth. So if you're like me and you're a woman or someone who has been diagnosed with ADHD later in life, let's connect, let's chat. I'd love to hear about your story and what's been working for you. Thank you so much for watching, and